Hey everyone, it's Chelsea and I am back with another video. You can probably hear my air conditioner and my shitty laptop over there. The laptop's going crazy and it's warm, so hence the air conditioner. I just wanted to make this video as a comparison. I'm not doing this in my usual setup. This is my bedroom, just because I don't want to wake my mum up. She's sleeping at the moment. But I just watched the first episode of the reboot of Charmed. I just watched it this morning. It went on for 40 minutes, so the standard that Charmed would usually go on for. For anyone who doesn't know, I'm a very big fan of the old show. I have every single episode. I watched it pretty much from when I was about 3, so a year after it was released. When the show started, I should say, because it started back in 98, if I remember correctly. 98, actually more towards my birthday, so it's more towards my second birthday, and finished back in May of 2006. I just watched the reboot, like I said, and I wanted to clarify and go through a few of the things where I'm a bit iffy, but I'm a bit hopeful, that kind of stuff. So first and foremost, I didn't mind it. I actually did not mind the show. I think it went a little bit too heavy on the comedy side of things, and I think it went a little bit too heavy on the whole, we're going to introduce these 3 girls as sisters. With Charmed, how the first episode started in the season was Grams had died, I think it was about 6 months before the show began. And Phoebe, it looked like she had just come back from a trip just to get away from everything. And she read aloud the spell that conjured up the powers for herself, Piper, and Prue. That was how the show started. With this, it starts where Mrs. Vera, who is the mother, she actually starts alive in the show. Spoilers, by the way. Spoilers for the show, I forgot to mention that. She starts alive in the show, a few minutes pass, and she's then found dead. Her 3 daughters are Mel, who is the second oldest, Maggie, who is the youngest, and Macy, who is the oldest, who is actually the sister that Mel and Maggie didn't know about. They didn't know they had an older sister. Their powers are very similar to what they were in the first season. Macy is able to move things with her mind like Prue could, telekinesis. Mel is able to freeze time like Piper could. And Maggie has the ability to read people's thoughts. Now, this is very similar to the abilities that both Prue and Phoebe have. Prue had more of the actual thoughts side of it, and Phoebe had more of the empathy side of it. But it seems like Maggie has a cross between both of them, so she can tell how strongly somebody feels and their thoughts. So that's a very important thing to note. She seems to have both sides of the coin. Now, it starts off very strange and it ends very strange. The girls do not have their powers. Their powers have been bound. And the mother was actually in the process of unbinding the powers. Now, originally in Charmed, it was very difficult to unbind powers. The only way you could do it was if the person who bound your powers died. That was pretty much the only way. The spell was tied to the life of the person who bound the powers. Now, the mother had successfully bound the powers, and she'd actually somehow called Macy into their world to reconnect with her daughters. Which did happen, that happened. But she died before she could fully finish the spell. The funny thing is with this is Macy and Mel and Maggie find their mother dead when they go up to the attic. However, and for anyone who knows the show, the attic window faces the front of the house. and this was something I brought up with my mum because she's a very big fan of the show as well, of the original. The attic window faces the front of the house. Mrs. Vera was found from that window, from the very view of that window, down on the ground below, dead. She should have been the first thing that Mel and Maggie saw, and yet she wasn't. There should have been some kind of noise or anything like that, because it was implied that she was dead before they got to the house. That was what was implied, because she was pretty much dead before she sent that text message as well. So that's where I'm a bit stumped. The other thing was, I don't really like how they're using Macy's background as a scientist, incorporating it into the witch's side of it. I love science, I really do. I think it's an awesome thing, but I don't think it should be going into the world of magic. I think there should be a line that they draw in the sand where Macy tries to explain everything with science, but over the way finds that, okay, I have to accept these powers. I have to accept that there's a second part of me that can't be explained. The other thing I don't get with this show, and I know I'm jumping around with this, why did the girls have 24 hours to decide if they wanted to be witches? That's what I don't understand, because these powers are not something you can choose to have. They are just a part of you. That's what I don't understand when it was explained, that why is that a thing? Obviously they were going to say yes. So that's just the whole psychological thing I don't fully understand. Now, there was another couple of things I want to go through as well. One was the main villain in this episode. Can't remember his first name. I think it was Edward Thane. Thane was his last name, Thane. And he was accused of being a sexual predator, a harasser, and they were dropped. The girl's mum was trying to explain that, hey, I think this guy's bad news. And then she ends up dead, and the woman who accused Thane was dead. So that's where it was a little bit weird. And he's come into this scene with Macy when she's starting her day, and he's pretty much just said, I'm not accused of any of what happened. And then he goes to say nice blouse. That doesn't help. That does not help the situation at all. But he ends up being the main villain. Now, I haven't seen this show, but he looks like the ice demon from Game of Thrones. He looks exactly like him, and that's where I found something a little bit lacking, was that there was no originality with this demon. It was just, he's literally the exact same character design of the villain from Game of Thrones in the later season, which really sucks. I was hoping there would be a little bit of originality, but there wasn't. There really wasn't. There was a demon who possessed a friend of Maggie's, and I cannot remember the guy's name. Brad, I think his name was. He was possessed by a demon, and the only thing that cured him was having bicarb soda thrown on him. Again, science, I don't like that's mixing with witchcraft, but hopefully they'll figure that out later on. The other thing is Harry. I don't like him at all. The whole thing with the White Lighters is just weird. They should not be shimmering, twisting up when they disappear. They should not. Another thing with White Lighters that I loved about Leo and Chris and Wyatt and Paige and Sam is that they were empathetic to what happened. Their powers were tied to the emotion of love and empathy. That was what made them White Lighters. That's what made them the angels from above. Harry doesn't have that. He's very snarky, sarcastic, quite rude, if I'm going to be honest. He doesn't fit in. And the fact that Mrs. Vera said from beyond the grave with the Ouija board at the end, it says, don't trust Harry. They're going to be building him up as a villain, and I don't like that. I really don't appreciate that. I think I don't like the White Lighters. I really don't like the White Lighters. They don't do anything for the Charmed ones at all, apart from impede them. Except for probably the one case I can think of is how to vanish a Suxin, coming up with that spell in season 7. But they're going to shape the White Lighters to be the bad guys in this, and they shouldn't. White Lighters are a sacred influence to the good side that they need. Now, if you'll excuse me, I just got to plug my phone in because it's dying. I've had to use my phone, by the way. There we go. White Lighters are sacred, and what they're doing with Harry is not a good thing. I don't like what they're doing. He's very overconfident in himself. He doesn't really believe in the girls all that much, if I'm going to be honest. He's very snarky, sarcastic, like I said. He does not fit in with the message of hope and love that a White Lighter should be. The show overall, the episode just seems to be very overly feminizing, I guess I should say. The whole thing with Charmed was it was meant to be an empowering message to women without going over the top. It was supposed to have witty one-liners, very badass women who didn't necessarily need men, but they still really relied on them too. They did admit when they needed to rely on, say, Leo or the elders or Cole or Henry or any of the other men that were main things in the show. They relied on them when they needed to. They had that very good balance of relying on men and women in the show. With this, I think they've gone a little bit too overboard. They've really modernized it, and they've mentioned Twitter and Facebook, and I think they mentioned Reddit or something at one point. But they've really gone overboard with empowering women. Mel, who is a lot like Piper, is against men. She's just like Graham. She's against men. She has a girlfriend. She can't stand Harry. I mean, I don't blame her for that, but you know, she really can't seem to stand men, and it's very demoralizing to see that, because men and women should be getting along equally. I think it's going to be a character progression where she does come to rely on men, especially with having a girlfriend. I think her girlfriend can be a very good influence to that, but it's going to really count on what Harry does and what, if the elders come into play, what they do to help Mel understand that. Maggie, I think, is just going to be very naive, similar to what Phoebe was in the first few seasons, very similar to what Paige was up until season 6, and very much like Billy as well. But I think she'll have a fast progression like what Billy did in season 8. Macy, I'm not sure about. Macy, I think, will always kind of be an outsider. Paige took about a season or two to really get into the swing of, I have sisters. With this, they just said, Macy literally held up a photo with her and their mum and said, I think I'm your sister. And then 2 scenes later, they're just like, we're sisters. They were fine with it. So I think they really need to work all up on character progression. I think they're going a little bit too hard and fast with everything. They really need to slow down what they're doing. They need to make Mel less of a man-hater, because she really seems like it. Maggie, I think they're heading in the right direction with Maggie. I do think they're heading in the right direction with her, having her be very young and naive. She's in freshman year at college. I think she's going to be the one that's probably going to grow the most on me. Macy, I think they just need more character development overall. It's very nothing there at the moment. She's a scientist. She hadn't seen her mum since she was like 2, and her dad died. That's all we know. So there's not much going for her in terms of that, apart from flirting from this guy whose name I cannot remember now. And Harry, I think they're going to bump him off very soon anyway. I don't think he's going to go anywhere in terms of story development. I think they're going to get rid of him pretty early on to establish that, hey, you can't always trust the elders and what they do if the elders come into play. Because I don't like him at all as a character. And this is not a oh, I'm going to warm up to him kind of way. I watched several scenes with him several times over, and I thought, there is no redeeming qualities here. He's helping the girl find their powers. That's about it. He's got no empathy. It's something doesn't sit right, and it's not necessarily they're going to make him to be a bad character. I know they're going to make him to be a bad character. They pointed out at the end of the episode. It's something doesn't sit right with the whole White Lighters in this universe thing. They don't have blue orbs anymore, which I hate. I love those blue orbs. And the healing is just literally, you just put your hand up like that, and then it's done. It's done in like a second. And there was a bit with, I think his name's Cameron, towards the end, where he gets an icicle stabbed into his stomach. And Harry doesn't even take it out. He just heals him. He just goes like, boop, like that, and he's healed. He had an icicle in his stomach like 5 minutes ago that was solid. It wasn't looking like it was going to be melting anytime soon, and he was healed. So, in a nutshell, more character progression, very different to the original series, not necessarily a bad thing. I like the direction that they're going to be going with. And pacing issues. I think pacing issues is another thing as well, where they've just, like I said, they've jumped from, oh, Macy's a new girl, to, oh, you're our sister, yeah, you can move in with us, you know? So I think that's going to be a problem. They've really got to learn their pacing. I know this was a pilot episode, but I can see where there's mixed reviews. I think this can go very far if they really think about the direction they want to go with these girls. If they don't overthink the whole we have to have strong women thing. You're allowed to have strong women and have them rely on men. You are allowed to. That's what happens in everyday life. There are plenty of strong women out there who rely on men to help them get to where they are. And it's very much a team effort in that case. I actually want to see the White Lighters and elders, not White Lighters, elders more specifically, be a little bit more likable. I found that they were pretty much next to useless with the original Charmed ones. I want to see if they can make a greater impact, because they have the capability to. They really do. So that's what I want to see. I want to see as well, not that I don't think the CW would ever do it, I would love to see an episode with Chris, Wyatt, and Melinda crossing over from their reality into the ones with these three sisters and taking them on. I want there to be something very similar to what happened in season 8 of the original Charmed, where the girls went against Billy and Christy, and it's like two ultimate powers going up against each other. I would love to see something like that. I don't know who would play Mel. I wanted to play Mel. I'm kidding. But I think it would be interesting to see Chris and Wyatt come back for, even if it's just one last hurrah. It would be good to see a crossover universe like that. But for now, we're just going to have to see. We're going to have to see how this plays out. The next episode should be probably out in the next week or so. And I want to do more videos on this. And I'm very sorry this one's kind of jumbled all over the place. Not really in a structured way. I originally meant for it to be. And then my laptop stopped working. So I've got to get that sorted. I didn't want to wake Mum up. She's sleeping, like I said, at the moment. So I couldn't do it with my normal computer. And very much I wanted this to be an off-the-cuff kind of thing. But I would definitely go through when the next episode's out. I will watch it. The good thing is I can remember most of Charmed as well. The original season. The original series. Because like I said, I've got every episode. So I love this show. The original season. I really want to like this reboot. That's the thing. I want to like it. I want to. It's good to have a change. And see they're going back to witches, because it's been just vampires and werewolves and everything else. It's about time witches made a comeback. So I'm going to leave this here. Let me know what you guys think about the reboot down below. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you want to see more content. I can't talk today. Hopefully I will be getting out as many videos as I can to do comparisons between the original Charmed and the reboot. In saying that though, I don't know how much there is going to be to compare. It's gonna be interesting, but hopefully you'll enjoy. I'll see you next time. Bye everyone. Bye.